my screen. So now you should see, and right now we're just in the 26, 27 template. We haven't made your respective chapter template or chapter projects yet. We got a few things. We're going to put the summer leadership series. So this video and the ones that are coming in the days subsequent to this, we will make sure we put those in here as well. And then we will get every chapter individual their own individual chapter project set up. A little background on Asana. We went to this. This is probably the third year now, I think, third, maybe fourth. But this is a great tool, a great resource for the chapter leadership to one, just know what's expected throughout the year, especially as it relates to the relationship between your chapter and the international office. Obviously, there's going to be different things that you're responsible for with between you and your school or you and any other organizations you work with. But this is an amazing resource, I think, to keep you all organized, to keep you all up to speed on what's going on. Letting you know due dates. I think it can really help with the discussions you have. If you're an archon leading your executive group or just an executive group in general, the leadership of the chapter, making sure that you all are, up to speed again on what's due, when it's due, who's responsible for it. It's a great way to stay accountable and to not get behind on what is happening throughout the semester and throughout the year. It's very important for the archons on the call. You're going to be the head of this. Really, the most important thing you can do is delegate. You've got a group of officers, a group of leaders in your chapter. Please use this resource to delegate responsibilities out to the respective chapter members or executive board members and other officers you have that fall under their responsibility. Because, I tell all the archons this, you've got to be responsible for running and managing the chapter. You've got a prior relationship with the university that have to manage, IFC or different things like that. You're a student, you have jobs, you have relationships, you have things going on too. So it's really important for archons to use this tool to delegate responsibilities and then just make sure everybody is staying up on top of the tasks that they've been had delegated to them. And I will show you how to do that if you're not familiar with it. But first things first, I'll go over, some of the basics. Over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see home and then your inbox. And if there is ever a red dot on this little bell here, you can click your inbox and then you'll see any messages that have come through. So it might be correspondence from me to you. It might be inter chapter correspondence. But it's also where you can, I can see when I look at it, what you've submitted, the notes you've taken, any questions you have. So I want you to make sure you know about the inbox over here. And then all you'll need to do is just go find your chapter to get back here. There are several tabs across the top, sort of how we've organized Asana. The first one is the overview. And again, this is, I don't know if anybody really uses this a lot, but it is there to see, the project roles and different things you have. List full year. Now, this is going to be if you're the kind of person who likes to see the entire year, in one spot, this is where you're going to go for that. And everything that really, whether it be report wise, information wise, organization wise, is going to be on this. And you can see we've got, it's ordered a little funny, and I'll explain that in a minute. But your fall Asana setup and use, there's, different resources we have, your chapter shared folder link, the support team here at the national office. Here's where we will put this video and the others that come after this in the next week or two. There's recruitment resources. We get into international events that are in person. That's going to be Archons Academy for our Archons and convention. International events virtual. We'll talk about those. And then again, fall, payments and tax information, fall international office reporting, on down the line. And I'm not going to go through all this. You can check that out when your chapter project is available. And the reason I'm not going to go through it here is because if you notice next to the full year view, we broke it up into fall and spring. And it's just to me, it's a more bite-sized view of each semester. And when we get to the spring tab, we'll talk about any of our schools that are on the quarter system. There'll also be a section for that winter quarter that has some information in it as well, but we'll look at that. We have our resources tab. So again, those resources I showed you on the full year, if you just go to resources tab, this is where they all live. And once we kind of go through the fall, spring resources, we'll talk about the 2 weeks in overdue tab and the me tab. And by the way, at the end of this, once I've kind of gone through everything, we'll make time for any questions you have. So, feel free to chime in if you have a question during the presentation, but if not, we'll address any questions you have as soon as we get done kind of going through everything here. Starting up, like I said, you've got your fall Asana set up in use. Anywhere there's a blank assignee or due dates, we're going to need someone assigned to every task, and we need a due date for every task. Now, these I've put in just for the sake of the example today, but archons, when especially you, when you get this, the chapter project comes out, you need to take time to go through every task needs to have someone assigned, and every task needs to have a due date. Now, you will see that we have pre-populated, some due dates in here. Those really aren't, for being changed. Those are the same across the board for everybody. So that should give you an idea of, what those dates are for specific tasks that we'll, look at as we go through. But we'll also talk about those that do not have a due date in them right now, and talk about how you need to discuss amongst yourselves to get the information we need on that. Very easy process for assigning individuals. One way you can do it is up here on the right. So you've got your blue share button. So when I click that, it's going to show me everybody that is in the system already. And let's just say I want to add, Keith Willard, the Archon at sciu.org. All you need to do is type in their email and click invite. And what that will do, that will send, Keith Willard Archon an email letting him know or her know that he or she's been invited to join the chapter project. So really the first thing you need to do when this chapter project opens up is get all your officers added to the system. And if you had this last year, they don't roll over automatically. So you're going to need to go in and add any officer that will be involved with this project, get them in there so they can get the invitation and be ready to, work in the chapter project. Another way to do this is simply click on this and you'll see everybody who is in here, or you can add, an officer in here. There, they've been invited. So that might take a little time to, and now this person has been assigned to that task. These Asana set up in use, more than likely is going to be, I'll just assume I'm the Archon. Once they're in here, it's that easy to go ahead and get them, the individuals responsible for that task, assigned. Archon's Academy, and let me go back up here real quick. So the Asana expectations essentially say that, like we talked about, every task should have someone assign, every task should have a due date. Now we understand that, this isn't necessarily one size fits all. There may be some chapters that maybe you don't take a class in the fall. So when you get down to those tasks, we still want someone assigned and a due date, but you can just put not applicable, no fall class. So we still want every task acknowledged. So that way we know you've addressed it. We don't have to chase you for information. So once you've, reviewed the Asana expectations, all you got to do when a task is done is click the green check mark, and that indicates it's done. And when you do that, all of your officers can see where you're at. We also, from the international office, can look at your project and we know, hey, they've done, the first part. Once you get all of your due dates assigned that we talk about, then you'll just go up here, click off that you've assigned the due dates. Have you invited all of your current chapter officers? And have you assigned all your officers to the appropriate fall task? Once you've done that, simply click that mark. And if you maybe mistakenly click that, to undo it, all you need to do is click there. Another thing is especially for anyone that's new into Asana, every task, if you just click out here in this area, will open up the pane on the right. And this is going to have the same information: who's assigned, what's the due date. But we try to give a description or let what is this task? What needs to be turned in? When is it due? If we'll look at any information or resources you need to complete the task will also be within the description. And we'll look at some of those again as we go down. But every task should have a description. That's the first place someone should look if they want to know, okay, what is this task I've been assigned? I need some more information. You just go in to open up this screen here. Now, along with every task, at the very bottom, you can add a comment. So, this could be, anything. Hey, I know you won't use it for this, but and then you just click down here. Oops, let me get this out of the way. Click comment, and this will go to anybody that's in the task. And that's how you can communicate with each other. You can communicate with the international office. Anybody that's assigned to the task will receive that information. Or, hey, I have a question about this task. Shoot it to me. When I get them, it comes in as an email. So you can either check your inbox over here, which now has the red dot, or you should get an email letting you, hey, there's a message on one of the tasks in Asana. So that's how you can communicate either with your team on a task or with the international office. The good thing about communicating through the comment box here, as opposed to, and you can always text me, you can always email me, and I'll answer to anything. But the benefit of communicating within Asana is the example I always use is, hey, the Archon won the lottery and we haven't talked to them since the day they won. It's easy to come back in here and see what work they've done, or if anybody leaves or is no longer to do their role. You can go in here and see what the communication has been, see what reports have been submitted, see what work is outstanding, as opposed to having to track down somebody's emails or somebody's texts or try to find out what have they done. Communicating within Asana is a very beneficial tool, like I said, with your chapter in the international office, but even within your own team, you might have set up on a task. And then all you need to do to get out of here is just click up here on the right arrow, and then you'll be back to this screen here. So again, moving down to Archons Academy. Again, this typically takes place the first or second weekend in January. Very important for especially new Archons that they're elected in the fall, going to be coming in the spring. But we do need a representative from every chapter. The information's in here. Talking about a little bit about Archons Academy. if you are going to have elections in the fall, you don't know who it's going to be yet, at least have the current Archon designated as the assignee so they can transfer that information or transition that information to the new Archon and make them aware. And again, keep in mind, you need to let us know by December 15th who that's going to be. Archon Town Halls, these are our virtual events. So this happens the first Wednesday of every month. It's where we like to have all Archons get together. It's at 5 p.m. Eastern time. If for some reason the Archon is not able to attend, you do need to get somebody to attend in your place. But pretty easy to go down here and just get the Archon assigned to all of those that will take place in the fall. And it's essentially, we might throw out a topic or two and, get your feedback, but then it's really an open conversation amongst the chapters. We really love when the chapters get talking to each other because all ships rise on the high tide. And chances are, if there's a chapter that might be struggling with something, you or another chapter has experienced it before and can help them out. Or maybe you've got something you're struggling with and can see what other chapters have done to work through a solution on whatever it might be. If it's, recruitment, retention, bill collection, things like that. It's just a chance for our archons, the leaders of our chapter, to get together and share ideas and share information so we all get better. So for the fall, tax information and payments due, my guess this is going to be your treasurer, more than likely. So this is where I can type in one of those names I put in earlier, comes up, and I can just assign our treasurer to all of these tasks. And you'll need to determine, like I said, these are, regarding tax information and payments due. I'm assuming it's your treasurer. If somebody else handles that, assign the appropriate person. But again, this probably should not be the Archon, simply to, again, get stuff off your plate and on down the line, your chapter service fee payment. Just a reminder to file your tax return and your fall initiation fee if you do take a class. All right, so that is that. Now, again, here you see, here's all the due dates for these invoices. Your member tax, risk management assessment, fall chapter service fee will be November 1st, but your fall initiation fee, that's going to be due on the date after initiation. So if you initiate on November 1st, you need to have that money collected because we're going to invoice you on November 2nd. And that's when you'll put in, once you know your initiation date, you can put in, if we initiate on, let's just say November 1st, that's going to be due, ready to be paid on the 2nd. Down here, and I'm not going to go through assigning these unless anybody has any questions on assigning. But, if you have a house, these are things that once we get the chapter projects out, make sure to get these assigned and taken care of as soon as you can. So you and your executive board or any, officers that touch these things can start having these discussions. Hey, we have a house. What is our chapter house occupancy? Okay, we can hold 20 people and we're at 19, or we can hold 20, we're at 20. And all you have to do for something, all we need is something like, and that's it. Just hit comment and mark that complete. Close that out. Fall officer report. This is a very important report that we need as soon as you can, really. I'm assuming most of you know, if not all of you know, who your fall officers will be. So again, by September 15th, here's the description, some important information. Come down here. Here's the template that you need to use. Click download. That will come up. You can open it. I don't know if that popped up, but again, the template will pop up. You can fill that out. And then again, in the comments, all you need to do is go down here to the attachment button. Just click that pull it from your files, and that's how you can submit your reports. So, the officer report's a very important one. That could be, again, think about, is that a secretary, a vice president? That probably shouldn't be an archon. Next, we have schedule your initial membership report meeting. So by September 15th, we need to have this initial membership report meeting scheduled. It needs to take place before the 30th. That's where we know how many brothers are going to be active, or how many active undergraduates will you have in the fall. We can update if somebody's going to be abroad. We can put them in active. Any other statuses we need to discuss, certainly um, let us know, and that call that information. The grade report, same thing. Anytime you see the paperclip over here, there's an attachment on a task. So the grades from spring 26, so the most recent semester, and this could be, again, think about secretary, vice president is an academic or scholarship chair. Here's the report we need filled out, and you can submit that again through the comment section. This is the chapter reported grade report. So you see that here. Every chapter should submit one of these. Shouldn't be an issue. You might need to create a system for gathering all that information from your brothers who are active in the spring, but every chapter should submit that. The school reported grade report from the spring, that just depends on if your school provides that information or not. Some schools provide it's really more of a IFC, or a look at all the fraternities and sororities or fraternities on your campus and how you rank. So we don't want GPAs of every individual here. This is where they might say, the Alpha Omicron chapter, here was their GPA, here was their rank among all of the chapters, or yeah, all of the fraternities on campus and their GPAs. So it gives us that look. How did your chapter rank against the other chapters on campus? So again, think about academic chair, vice president, whoever's going to submit a grade report or would have that information or access to it to track that down. Certainly assign them to that task. Attending the initial membership report meeting, again, that's more than likely going to be the archon or whoever you designate. Once we do that meeting before September 30th, just click that off. Intellectual engagement plan. If your chapter falls below the all men's average, I believe, on campus, you'll need to submit um, the intellectual engagement plan. But again, here's more information about that. If you ever have questions, please let us know. A very important thing that the archons will need to do is schedule a recurring meeting with your international office contact. And again, that's going to be in the resource section. If it's going to be Justin, Mia, or Tom from the international office, but it's very important by October 1st, if not earlier, just get a regular meeting scheduled, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly. You'll figure that out with your liaison, but make sure to get that meeting on the calendar. Just a heads up for whoever you assign to this, your scholarship chair or academic chair, vice president. The scholarship applications will open November 1st. Please make sure to get that information out to your brothers so they can apply and have plenty of time to apply. It's not a difficult process, but it can take time. And if folks wait until the deadline, which I believe is in February, it's going to be hard to get that in on time. Then there's your fall news and service report. This is a report that encapsulates everything you did in the fall as a chapter. And we want to, brag on chapter successes. We want to brag on individual successes, whether it be, fraternity related or not. Again, if anybody has questions on this, this is due December 1st, depending on when your, fall term ends. If you need a few extra days, just communicate with us and we can talk about that. But the link for the report is here. And this is a great report where if you think that you might want to add other people to this task, because you're going to want to hear from the philanthropy chair, service chair, prior academic chairs, if you have an intramural chair, social chair, all those aspects of your fraternity, things you did over the semester are going to be important. So all you do to add people, like create a team, is you should be able to should be down below here. I don't have to see where that's at. actually here in the task. I could add, again, my treasurer, my vice president, and whoever else you want on there, philanthropy, service. And now they are part of that task. You can see who is part of this task up here. So, make sure you're talking about that and gathering that information throughout the year so you can put together a really good news and service report. They are required for every chapter to submit in the fall by December 1st and in the spring by May 1st. But really think about highlighting, you know, how many service hours did you do as a chapter? How much money did you raise for philanthropy or for charitable organizations? What did you do to raise those funds? Did somebody hold a leadership position on campus, whether it be, school government, IFC? Was somebody, do anything within the community that was noteworthy? It's really a chance again to brag on your entire chapter, but also individuals and their accomplishments as well. But these are very important reports. They're shared with everyone at convention, just like everyone at convention will see your report, you'll see everybody else's report. So the easiest way to put together a great report is gather this information, collect this information throughout the year. So then it's just a matter of kind of copying and pasting and putting it in the report when it's that time. Now, the fall new member report. So the last report here. And again, I don't know, again, if this is going to be, probably shouldn't be the Archon, but is this your recruitment chair, new member chair, or new member education, a vice president, secretary, whoever's going to be responsible for this? We have a different process this year. Some of you are probably familiar, or maybe familiar in the past, where we attached a template and you would have to get all the information from your, pledges or new members to submit to us. We're trying to make that process a little bit easier and quicker on the information collection standpoint. So the first thing you're going to need to do as soon as you know who your pledge class is, or your new member class, is send this link to all of your pledges or new members. And they're going to go in individually and just fill this information out. And this is going to then be compiled by us so we can, and they need to agree to these things too and hit submit. But this should, cut back on some of the chasing people down to get this information. The first time you get them together, send this link to them, have them fill it out. It should take them all 5 minutes to put this information in. Just a couple of important things. We do want legal first name, legal last name. Here's a place where we can put the preferred first name. Home address needs to be your permanent home address when you're not at school. So not your dorm, not a fraternity house, not the house you're living at on campus or near campus. This is your home address when you're not at school. And then we also need your primary email, which is going to be your, Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, whatever it is, your school email, and then everyone needs to provide a parent email along with their cell phone, class, year, school, and again, make sure you read and agree to those as well. And like I said, that should really, improve the speed with which we can get your new member report submitted. We do need from whoever's assigned to this, they need to give us the basic information. This opens here, and hopefully you can all see the spreadsheet that popped up? Or can anybody let me know if you can or cannot?
Yeah, we can see it.
Gotcha. So what we need you to do is just give us the basics, really like first, last name, if there's a junior, senior, first, second, third. And we might cut this down. And that way it allows me to check, okay, here's our 15 pledges. That way I can cross-check and be like, okay, Keith Willard hasn't completed this yet. We may not give them their tightrope information until all of your class that you told us about has completed that form I just showed you. So the chapter delegate or whoever's delegated needs to submit this to us, but then each individual pledge or new member needs to go in and fill out that form at the link here that you share with them. And certainly, as it is a new process, but Please, again, let us know if you have questions. That's why we're here. And I'll say it now, and I'm going to say it at the end. I can't emphasize enough, whether it's me, your international office contact, if any of you or any of your officers have a question on any of this, the only bad question is the one they don't ask, right? Text us, call us, send a note through Asana. Please reach out and let us know, how we can help you be more efficient, succeed, or, be better at what we do, right? That's what we can do to help you out or to make the process better. So again, you'll need to figure out that's going to be due 3 to 5 business days after you know who your pledge class or who your new members are. You don't want to wait till initiation. As soon as you know who your class is going to be for the fall, that's where you want to put this date in. It'll be due on that date. Recruitment initiation task. Again, this is probably going to be a great one for whoever your recruitment chair is or the individual or individuals who handle the recruitment process each semester. Fired up certified recruiters. This is a very important training that every undergraduate brother that has not already completed this should complete it. This should also become part of your new member education process. Have all of your new members complete the Fired Up Recruiter Certified Recruiter training. It's going to make individuals better recruiters. It's going to make your entire group a better collective group at recruiting, which is the lifeblood of what we do, right? So make sure you go in here. Or actually, this is just reporting the number of people who have completed it. Sorry. Down here is the certification that I was talking about. Sorry about that. But here's links to get to. It is 100% free. It won't cost you, the chapter, any individual. It will not cost any money. This is free. I think it's a great resource, especially maybe if you do any kind of kickoff meetings or, you know, um, I guess goal setting retreats, anything like that at the start of the year. Put this out in front of everybody at that time. Say, hey, let's get this done. If you have not already, you don't have to do it again. But if you want a refresher, please feel free to do it. So again, you just submit the number of recruiters, certified recruiters you have through that process. Hey, we have 11. Mark that off. Your fall recruitment goals. So again, this is just going to be a conversation you need to have as an executive team with your chapter. What's our recruitment goal this year, right? Like, hey, we want to get 25 people. We want to get 10 people. All you got to do is put that in here. So we know what you're shooting for. And that's something that, hey, once you set that goal, now it's like, hey, let's go get that. Confirm your fall initiates. So once you know who your initiates are, and once you have initiated the class, make sure, and I'll reach out to you on the appropriate date, but we just need to confirm, hey, everybody that signed up or registered as a new member, all of them initiated, names are spelled correct, because that's how their names are going to appear on the badges and certificates that we send. So make sure whoever is responsible for that, the new member educator, secretary, vice president, again, whoever you assign, I'll reach out, make sure that everybody that started the process ended the process, or we know who did not. You'll need to talk about when is your fall initiation going to be. Again, assign that to someone, and then whatever day your initiation is going to be is where you hit the calendar and put in that date. Last day you accept fall pledges or new members. So again, what day does your rush end? If it's, Friday, August 29th or whatever the date is, or maybe it's that Sunday, that's the date you let us know because so many things hinge on that. From that date, you've got 3 to 5 business days to get your new member report in. Um, you know, we know we should be looking for that. I know to follow up. It just helps us manage the timeline along with you. So have this conversation early, and it just helps everybody get their ducks in a row. What is the last day we accept pledges or new members? If you kind of have a rolling recruitment, figure out what the first day that maybe an official rush period ends. Submit the people you have at that point as soon as you can. And then if you add, 2 people, 3 people, 5 people later on in the semester, just submit that information once those 2 or 3 or 5 have come on board as a pledge. So we don't hold everybody else up for tightrope and different things like that. Tightrope completion. Again, most of you on here, or all of you, have completed tightrope, so it's going to be very similar to what we've done in the past. Once we get all of your new members or pledges information submitted through that form, I will send the tightrope information to them. I'll copy the chapter archon as well, so you know it goes out. This should be done within 3 weeks of them accepting their offer to join the fraternity. So make this, again, it's 100% required for insurance purposes, and kind of like it's really a cover your behind type thing where, hey, if something does go wrong down the line, we can say, hey, we provided this training. Our members are aware that this is not acceptable, whether it be hazing, drinking, sexual assault, drug use, things like that. We do want to make sure that this information gets to the pledges and new members, and that they complete it, for their benefit, and also to, our insurance requires it. So you all should be familiar with that. And if not, I can answer any questions you have about that. Again, we talked a little bit about certification, but again, you're going to need to fill out all these dates once you have those conversations. And then down here is just election information. So if you have elections in the fall, you need to let us know or schedule a transition meeting with your international office contact. So if we have elections November 15th, a week or two prior to that, just have a transition consultation with your international office liaison to, hey, here's our transition process. Here's what we do. Here's what we make sure, the outgoing officers share with the new officers. The new officers make sure they understand everything. Let us know what your fall initiation or election date is. I'm sorry, over here. And then just let us know what date you will hold the officer transition meeting. And again, you'll want to assign that. Again, whoever leads that process is who you'll want to assign to those tasks. So I've gone through that. I know it's long-winded. I know you're probably worried about the spring items, but I will tell you this. Again, this is the fall. Here's your spring items tab. This is going to be similar. Honestly, most of this is 100% the same as the fall, with just different due dates. Again, you go through, if there's a new archon, or even it's the same archon, just make sure, again, for this winter, spring, or spring semester, you've invited the appropriate officers, you've put in all the due dates, and you've assigned a task or all of the tasks to at least one individual. The in-person events you'll need to look for in the spring are, booking travel to convention. The actual Archons Academy will take place, again, it looks like January 8th through 11th. So you can kind of either, if you're going to be the Archon in the spring, or if you're going to have a new Archon, you need to have them hold those dates, because we need to have someone from every chapter attend. And it really only makes sense to either the Archon or someone who's been in a leadership role before. If you send someone who just initiated, the content and the that we go over there may not make as much sense to them. So it really helps to have either your Archon or someone who has been in a leadership role, that, the context of the information will just make a little more sense, more than likely. But it's an amazing weekend. It's out in Alexandria, Virginia. Learn a lot, but it's a lot of fun as well. Again, convention. We don't have the dates for this, but this is on here just to keep you aware of when and where it may be. And then submitting your award recommendation letters by June 1st next year. Same thing with the town halls. We'll have those again first Wednesday of every month, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure that your Archon is on there. If not, you need to have someone in their place. Again, here's the spring tax information and payments due. Again, probably going to be your treasurer. You'll have a chapter service fee. You'll have an initiation fee. And if you do happen to have a, someone coming back, they might have been inactive in the fall due to being, study abroad, or, an externship or internship somewhere. If they come back, that's when we'll charge their member tax. We won't charge you for anyone who's not there in the fall, but they're there in the spring. We'll charge you in the semester that they are active. Again, this is the section I was talking about for our chapters on the quarter system. Again, if you happen to have a winter initiation, or you take a winter class, this is where a lot of this is going to come into play here. Your recruitment goal, initiation date, tightrope, all the same things that we had in the fall, but just specifically for a winter class. If you don't have a winter class and you're on the quarter system, you still want to assign them so we know who it would have been. but you can go into the task and, hey, not applicable, no winter class. And then mark those complete once you've addressed them. We still need the winter grade reports because you will have obviously winter grades if you're on the quarter system, and those will be due by April 15th. We need the chapter reported, which there's a template, and we need the school reported if the school provides that information. Moving down to the spring international office reporting, again, you're just going to need to make sure you assign this to the right officers. Make sure you've got that meeting on the calendar with your international office liaison. We will need your fall grade reports. So again, academic chair, secretary, whoever that is that's going to put that together. A couple different, different from the fall. Make sure by April 15th, we have your outstanding junior nominee and your Griffin Senior Award nominee. Again, all the information you need with a link to the information on our website is here, but we do need each chapter gets one nominee for outstanding junior and one nominee for the Griffin Senior Award. So you go to these links, it'll tell you who qualifies for the awards. Not only do we need the name of the individual, we need a good headshot of the individual, which can just be attached again down here using the attach button. Applications closed. So again, February 16th, just make sure all of your brothers were aware of the scholarship applications in the fall so they can work on those and have enough time to get all the information compiled. Here's the spring news and service report again, where you're really recapping your entire semester in detail. Too much information is better than not enough. And make sure you hear from all your officers on that report. We do need an updated officer report, or at least tell us, hey, all the officers are the same in the spring as they were the fall. So we know who we need to contact for various things. And we get down again to the new member report for your spring class. Year-end membership report meeting, make sure that gets scheduled by April 15th. Your mid-year membership needs to be scheduled by January 15th. And then you just attend both of those meetings by January 29th and by May 1st. I will show you one other thing. So if you notice, these dates are kind of all over the place. If you go up here to due date, sort ascending. Me personally, I like this view because it just kind of puts everything in order now. So January, February, April. Me personally, I think it's easier to look at like that. And just make sure you save the view. But I want to give you let you know about that, where you can reorder those if they seem like they're a little out of whack, and you can sort of look at these. Okay, this is how this is going to go as we get through the semester. Again, more recruiting and initiation tasks. These are the same as the fall. So, make sure you're taking the same, doing the same procedures, getting everybody assigned, getting the right due dates after you have the discussions, or if you have questions, ask me. And then just make sure you complete each one of these or let us know if they're not applicable. And again, the election and transition task for the spring. So if you have winter or spring elections, it's the same process. Make sure you talk to your international office liaison. Let us know, when your election date is. And then make sure you have your transition meeting. Real quick, I'll go over the resources just to make sure these are here. Anybody's not familiar with their chapter shared folder link, you'll go here and then your respective chapter link will be here. And that's where we keep information that's relative to the current year. It's where we put all your invoices, all your monthly chapter financial statements. We'll put your membership reports in there to review before each of those calls. I'll also send them to you via email. And there's prior information. If you're wondering what happened in previous years, there's folders for your insurance certificate. There is a folder for, it's the gold book, your chapter or, policies and constitution. There's a folder in there for that. So a lot of great information in your chapter shared folder link. Again, once we know who each chapter's international office contact is, that'll be here. This will just be your staff contact information and foundation. We'll put the leadership series videos here. Here's some additional marketing or recruitment resources, I should say, marketing, recruit tracking, creating a recruitment plan. recruitment ideas and resources. Probably great for your recruitment chair to be assigned to these so they can review them. Now is probably a great time. It's never too early to start thinking about your next, rush process, or your next recruitment process. Here is just some information on SciU Cares. The Be There certification, we need your health and wellness chair is more than likely going to be responsible for SciU Cares in your chapter. Make sure they do the certification. Out of Darkness walks, we have information on where you can take part in those or participate if they are in and around your area. Just so you know, we have this philanthropy and service, the crowd change platform, which is a way to collect and track information for philanthropic and service events. You can track how many donations you've had, how much money you've made. So if you're not using that or don't use something like it, this is also free for the chapters to use. So make sure your philanthropy and service chairs know about this. And this link is just a description. If you're not sure what SciU Cares is, make sure you check this out. It's, in a nutshell, it's SciU's effort to bring attention to mental health and wellness issues, what brothers may be experiencing, what resources are out there to help brothers that might be dealing with these issues, how to spot these issues, but how to also participate with organizations and in events that also support the same initiative, which is a very important topic on campuses, I think, as you all know. So know that that's a big focus point for SciU and something we really want, your health and wellness chair to get engaged with and get the chapter engaged with. And then down here are just resources on how to use Asana for anyone that is new. So the last two, I'll be quick with these. What I would recommend, 2 weeks and overdue. Okay. And I will point this out as we look at the fall. Anytime you see a due date in red, it's overdue. Like this should have been done August 7th. So that's a way you can look at this real quick and say, okay, either we didn't do it or we didn't mark it off. So that's one way you can take a look here. Anything in green, that's due today. Um, so that needs to be done, put at the top of the list. Anything that has a day of the week means it's going to happen within the next 7 days, or it's due within the next 7 days. And then anything that has a date that's farther out, obviously you've got a little bit more time to look at that. So I showed you that. I wanted to show you that, kind of, red is overdue, green is on time, but coming close. And then you got a little bit of time if there's a day of the week. But if you go to the 2 weeks and overdue tab, and I think this is a great resource for the archons. If you meet every week with your executive team or your e-board and your officers, you need to look at this together as a group. And again, this is how an archon can assign everything out that needs to be assigned and delegated to officers to honestly make your life easier and manage, focus on the big picture of the chapter operations. You can look here and say, hey Keith, did we take care of the Asana expectations? If you did, mark it off. If not, you can simply say, hey, do you understand, what needs to be done? Do you, have any questions on what needs to be done? Do you have the resources you need? And, do you need help getting this task done? And you can go through. That's overdue. That needs to go to the top of the list. Looks like we have until Monday, but we need to get our officers invited into Asana and then get that marked off. And we need to get the due dates done and assigned today. And that's going to be all the way down, right? Okay, looks like Archon's Town Hall was August 5th overdue, but we did that. So that'll come off the list. But this is a great tool, especially for Archons, to just see where everybody's at, right? And this will keep everybody on top of, what is due, who's responsible for it, and allow them to ask any questions they might have. It allows us to see where everybody's at. And I promise you, you can probably tell from right now, I'll talk a lot. The easiest way to not hear from me a lot is just stay on top of it. Stay on top of reports. Stay on top of due dates. Stay on top of providing the information we need. Stay on top of getting your pledges to do tightrope, right? So, going through this weekly, then you're going to be really 2 weeks ahead of what needs to be done if you stay on top of everything, because this is giving you a 2 week look from basically today or 2 weeks out. And then the last tab is going to be just for me. So if I go in here, I'm going to see just what I need to do. You don't have to go through the fall and sprint. Where's my name? Every officer that's been assigned to a task and invited into the system can go to the me tab and go, okay, this is what I need to do. I've got these three things due. I have, okay, December 15th, I've got to make sure we register for the Archons, or I register for the Archons Academy. It allows me, I can, however I need to plan, right? Everybody's different. They might have a Google Calendar, they might have a physical calendar, but everybody can plan their entire semester just by looking at the Me tab, and they don't have to cut through all of the everybody else's task or things they may not necessarily be, you know, closely involved with. I would let your officers know about the Me tab because that will really help them focus on what they need to do within the bigger picture. So I highly, highly recommend one, you meet with your executive board at least once a week at some point, maybe before chapter, review all this to make sure stuff stays done or done on time, and then make sure everybody knows about the Me tab so they can see, hey, what am I specifically responsible for throughout this semester? So that is, I think, everything I have and wanted to cover. Um, I'll open it up. Are there any questions from the group? Either anything I've talked about here, anything else that maybe I didn't cover or you're curious about as it pertains to Asana or how to best use it? I love questions. Anybody have any questions on any of the reports that are due, any of the payments that are due? All right, hearing none. Well, I will tell you this. Like I said, once we get through all of these summer leadership series videos and we can get those added in here, so you'll just have those and be able to go back and review them or share those with your respective officers. We will try to get these out as soon as possible so you have them in plenty of time to, again, get with your executive group. If it's a start of the year, planning session, strategy session, retreat. But we can't emphasize enough. Every chapter does need to use this so we can all, be in line with where everybody's at. But again, I'm certainly happy if you want as well, especially if you have a lot of new officers. Please schedule a Zoom meeting with me. I'm happy to meet with your whole team to walk through this, answer any questions your team might have, or if there's anything we've put in there that's confusing a little bit. Certainly reach out. Happy to talk with you individually or with you and your group. But that's why we're here. I said it earlier. I can't emphasize enough. There's never a bad time to reach out, again, via Asana, call, text, set up a Zoom meeting if you need to discuss anything. That is 100% why we're here. Again, to work together in this and help you out and help you be successful. But we really we enjoy doing that. So don't let things linger. Don't worry if you should ask. You should always ask. That's why we're here. So thank you all for your time today. Again, any questions before we wrap up here? All right. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the time to join tonight. And I look forward to working with you all, working with all of you this semester. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a nice one.
Thank you. You too.